several suspects charged with public violence during the 2021 July Unrest. Among them is the ANC youth leader in the Musa Dladla region in KwaZulu-Natal. Newzroom Afrika's Karinda Jagmohan followed the court appearance today and joins us now. Karinda, very good evening to you. Perhaps let's start off with a breakdown of some of the highlights of this case.
Indeed. So there were initially only 20 suspects that were supposed to be brought to court. After they had appeared and were granted bail, then 2 more suspects appeared after them. Essentially, we found out that law enforcement authorities have their eyes on 84 suspects in total, including the ones that appeared in court today. These are suspects that are accused of public violence and arson, among other charges relating to the deadly July unrest. Now, from this morning, of the 20 suspects, all were granted bail of 3,000 rand, apart from one suspect who we were told could not afford bail, and she had a young daughter that was sick that she needed to take care of. Despite this, she is still facing the same charges that all of the alleged instigators of violence are facing, and they will all appear in court now on the 26th of August. We know more arrests are imminent, and those suspects will appear in court or make their first appearance over the next week as they are arrested. And together, all these suspects that are accused of inciting public violence, of essentially contributing to the violence that we saw during those deadly 8 days in July, they will together appear in court on the 26th of August. Now, interesting factor you mentioned among the suspects is the ANC Youth League leader in the Musa Dladla region. That is Sanele Masuku, the 29-year-old man. He is based in Richards Bay currently, and we understand that he, of course, has paid out bail. But in the gallery, we saw a number of people. In fact, the gallery was full to capacity, and most of the members there wearing ANC T-shirts as well, ANC regalia. And when they were coming out of court, a number of members singing "Wenzeni Zuma, what has Zuma done?" So obviously we see the same sentiments that we saw during the July unrest itself, which was basically essentially a narrative of questioning why the former president had been arrested at that time. Remember, he had just been at Escort prison in just shortly before the July unrest. Another factor we saw outside court is a Tequini municipal vehicle being used to transport the supporters of the suspects. This was one vehicle we saw. We actually saw this live in our crossing at 1 o'clock. And this vehicle with those NDM license plates carrying supporters who were there for that court appearance and then leaving with those supporters. So the eThekwini municipality, obviously, to answer what that was regarding, whether they were aware of this and what actions they would take, if any. But ultimately, those suspects will appear in court on 26th August.
Perhaps let's go back a little bit, Karinda, and talk about the impact the July unrest had in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, and perhaps if, there's more depth around the kind of charges that these suspects are facing.
Indeed. So according to the Hawks, the suspects are facing a number of charges ranging from the conspiracy to commit or to incite public violence, to incite arson, and the suspects themselves going on to actually conduct public violence, to take part in this and conduct arson. So these are the burning of buildings, the blockading of roads, the looting of shops. Those charges are yet to be clarified, and they will as the court appearances progress for these particular suspects. But the impact of the July unrest was deadly. We know more than 300 people died across the country between KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, and the economy lost millions of rands. Still, there are people whose shops were looted or destroyed that have not yet been rebuilt. In fact, this year in July, we conducted a storytelling program, a focus, where we visited areas that were affected by the unrest, only to find that a number of infrastructure buildings that were burnt down or torn down were still in the process of being rebuilt, or were completely abandoned because the owners could not rebuild. Many people saying they've not been able to be paid back by the eThekwini municipality. The government assisted financially as they try and recover from the unrest. We know thousands lost assets during that week of looting. And so what remains on the ground are many people that are still trying to pick up the pieces, only then to be again affected this year by the April floods, rising inflation, rising petrol prices. It's really been a tough time if you are living in KwaZulu-Natal, Gauteng, really across the country. But for those that were affected by the July unrest, it's really just gotten worse. And I'm sure they'll be looking out to see what will be the progress of this case. There is one prosecutor that has been looking at this case and previous cases relating to the July unrest. There have been previous such suspects before the courts. But in this matter, this is the highest number of suspects we're seeing. Of course, we're yet to see how many more arrests the Hawks will make and who exactly they will arrest in terms of saying who is accountable for starting that deadly week in July.
Yeah. Let's leave it there for now. Thank you very much, Karinda. Jagmohan.